Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get off to a great start in your next Conflict of Nations game and how to manage your resources so that you can set yourself up to have a booming economy. So stay tuned, settle in, grab a cup of coffee or Red Bull or whatever you have to do, and enjoy. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is kind of look at who's around you. So in this game, we're playing as Indonesia. So as Indonesia, we want to be wary of the Philippines. We want to be wary of Vietnam. A little bit, we want to be wary about Myanmar, Thailand, and Australia too. I really like playing as Indonesia. I think it's a great place to start as, because you're isolated. No one can attack you over the ground. They have to go by sea or through the air. So an important thing I think that you need in order to win is you want to have a good variety of troops. You want to have ground troops, you want to have air troops, and you want to have sea troops. So as Indonesia, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cities. So what we're going to do with 7 cities is we're going to have 2 for ground troops, like tanks. We're going to use this one and this one. We're going to do 2 for air troops, for planes. We're going to Jakarta and Medan. And we're going to have 3 for Navy. I think Navy is really important for any country, but especially for Indonesia. So we're going to actually have 3 for the Navy. So once you start the game, and after you've looked at who's around you, the first thing you want to do is start mobilizing troops. So if you hit this to your right, you get all your cities. And here you can see that I have 7 cities. You start with some buildings in your capital. And we're going to want to start building and then mobilizing. So the easiest troop to mobilize that requires the least amount of buildings and research is going to be this basic infantry. So we're going to hit this button down here to start the research, and it takes 1.5 minutes. And this is a 4 times game, so that'll go by really quickly. So in the meantime, while that's going, we can get ready to mobilize these infantry. So you can see here, it just needs army base level 1 and this research, which we're almost completed. So now we need to build the army base level 1. So an easy way to do that in all of our cities is to highlight all of them, then hit construct new building, and if we hit this, it will actually build an army base in all 7 of our cities. So I know we said that we're going to divide it up and do 2 for planes, 2 for tanks, and 3 for Navy, but it'll take a long time to do that. So while we're waiting for our planes, our tanks, and our ships to get here, we will be mobilizing infantry. So now we have them all built and we have it researched, so we can actually go ahead and we can, sometimes it is a little funky, but we should be able to highlight them all and go down to the mobilize new unit and hit start, and that will actually it will start mobilizing a troop in all 7 of our cities. Now this takes a long time. If we click on one of them, it takes 19.5 hours. So you want to wait until the next day for them to get there. Okay, so another thing I suggest actually is buying, if you have a little bit of money to spend, or you can ask your parents, you can actually buy the Security Council subscription. And what that allows you to do is actually have a wait list. So once this finishes, even if it's at midnight, what you can actually do is set it so that it will actually build more troops after that. So if you pay for that, I think it's $15 a year or something, then you get this little hourglass thing. And if you hit that, it'll actually put these guys in a wait list. Okay? So if you don't want to spend that money, that's okay too. But I would highly suggest it, because then you don't have to get up at 1 in the morning to mobilize new troops. They would just automatically go as long as you have the right resources. Okay? Now, another important part of the beginning of the game is diplomacy. So if we go here, hit this little newspaper, you can see all the other countries, and you can see what's happening. So you can see that, I think that's like the Congo attacked somebody. And you can see when people arrive at the game. You can see who's going to war. Sometimes you can see what they're mobilizing. You can see what's lost. If it's somebody lost a ship or something, that's important. And you can also put messages here. So you can say, hi, and you can send it. And now everybody sees that message. Okay. So that can be cool. It can also be distracting. So probably one of the most important parts of the game is coalitions. You can have up to 5 people in your coalition, and you want to have people in your coalition who are close to you. So I'm Indonesia. We're going to want to have at least Australia or Philippines or one of these countries, or India or China or even Japan, maybe Korea. Korea is very small, or New Zealand. So we don't want to have like Spain in our coalition, because we won't be able to help Spain, and Spain won't be able to help us. So India has invited us to a coalition, so we will say sure. And we will see if there he is. He has created a coalition, so we will apply for that coalition. You've successfully applied to that coalition. So India is fairly close, but India is one of the most powerful countries in the game. So it's very good to be in a coalition with him or her. And we'll hope that maybe the Philippines or Australia or one of our neighboring countries can join us. Okay? Now, looks like someone else probably said hi to us. Another important part is resources. So you can't mobilize, you can't build buildings without resources. You have supplies, components, fuel, electronics, rare materials, manpower, and money. And you need to have pretty much all of these things to be successful. So in order to get more resources, you can do a few things. You can take over cities. Singapore creates money. Kuala Lumpur creates components. And it's not just cities too. Some provinces actually create resources. All provinces create money and manpower, but only certain provinces also create resources on top of that. So we can do 2 things to get more resources, 3 things to get more resources. Take over more territory. We can do something where we actually can build something called arm industries. And if you click on this little eye, it'll tell you that resource production, once you build one, goes up by 10%. If you go to level 2, it goes up by 20%. All the way up to 5, it goes up all the way up to 50%. So we're going to want to try to get as far as we can. And if you have all level 5, then you're going to have a lot of resources. So we're going to hit start. And what that will do is start building an arms industry in every one of our cities, because they're all pretty important. All of the resources are all pretty important. Some of them are more scarce than others. Like rare materials are very scarce, so we're definitely going to want to go to arm industry level 2 for that one, because I always run out of that. So another thing you can do to get more resources is, remember I told you that some provinces create resources too? What you can do to capitalize on that is build these local industries. So here, if you build level 1, it goes up by 100%. There's only 3 levels here, up by 150 and then 200%. So we're going to go and build a level 1, and we're going to put in the wait list for level 2 as well. So that's good. Now, the last thing you can do to get more resources is take over more territories. So this is a computer-controlled country, Singapore. You can see here that little computer icon. That means no one's going to get mad at us if we attack it. Now, there are some troops there that are computer-controlled, and they won't really move that much. They might move a little bit. And it's important to know that there's usually one or two just infantry, so you need to send more than that. Because when you're playing defense, you are actually entrenched. So the defender will always win if it's an equal matchup. For instance, if it's 1 versus 1, the defender will win. Okay. Also, there are some trades you can do. In the beginning of the game, I think everybody has access to these trades. So it might be a good idea to get some more rare materials, because you will need the rare materials to research cool things, like whatever you want to do. There's a lot of strategies you can go for. I like to go for Navy. I try to get a lot of cruisers, or you can go for planes, strike fighters, or air superior fighters. There's a lot of different strategies you can use. You can check out some more of my videos to see some different strategies I've used over my playing time. But what I like to do here is just go for air superiority fighter. Okay, pretty basic. And I just like to get 3 or 4 of those guys for defense. They're not really for attacking units, but they're for defending against other planes. So I like to do that. And I also like to get better infantry. So now you can see here, these two are starting, and this one takes a day, and this one just takes 30 minutes. But you can see if you click on this right here, you can see the different properties of that unit. So it says is that these numbers are kind of arbitrary, but you can see it attacks at a 3 and defends at a 3.8. And if you manage to research all the way up, obviously it'll cost a lot of resources. But if you manage to get all the way up there, you can see it defends at a 6. Attacks at a 6.5 and defends at an 8.1. So that might be something you want to do if your strategy is going to be to have strong infantry units. Okay, but like I said, that will cost a lot of components. No, these are a lot of supplies, a lot of rare materials, and a lot of money. But if you take over a lot of territories, if you build a lot of arm industries, and if you build a lot of local industries, you can have enough resources to research what you want. There's some really cool things in here, but you need to kind of have all 3 of those. Okay, so that will pretty much do it for this video. Let's just attack one more computer-controlled territory here. Yep. So that's Brunei, which is also a computer-controlled territory. And Brunei produces fuel. So fuel is really important at certain times. And it's most important if you're doing a thing called camping, which is when you're not attacking anybody else. You're just staying put in your country and building a lot of units. If you're doing that, the first thing you're going to run out of is fuel. Okay? So we're going to take over that territory, and then what you can do next is you can set a waypoint. So you can say, all right, go to Brunei, and then go to this territory, which is in Malaysia, and then go to that territory, and then go back to Brunei. Because once you take over a territory, the people in that territory won't be happy, and they're actually going to have an uprising. So you're going to want to leave forces, at least 1 motorized infantry, in that city to deal with that uprising. So that's very important as well. Okay, so now we can check out our coalition, and it looks like Myanmar was added, so that's great. Like I said, you want to have people close by because they're able to help you, and you can use use their cities for transportation. He's building an airbase, so once that airbase hits 40%, you can actually fly a troop into there. So right now he only probably has this one, so you see that little green line that came up, that means I can fly into that city because we are coalition members and we can help each other out. Okay, so those are my tips for the beginning of the game, and I hope it helped. And let me know if you have any other tips for the beginning of the game, or what kind of strategies you like to play. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.